Well, after months of anticipation, the final proposed route for the 70-mile transmission line has been released. The project will cut through Baltimore, Frederick, and Carroll counties.
That's right. Residents have been holding their breaths to see if their properties will be impacted. And now for many, it is a reality.
They changed it quite a bit, actually. They hit a lot. Some people I know that were affected before aren't now that were on the similar route, but there's a lot of people that weren't affected before that are now.
And while nothing is set in stone yet, let's get straight to Fox 45's Jessica Babb.
Yeah, she joins us live with more on why officials say this route was the better choice. Jessica.
As we've been reporting, there has been fierce opposition to this project from residents, county leaders, and even lawmakers. PSEG, the company developing this transmission line, they say they've considered a lot of public feedback in coming up with this route. But even so, having this final proposed route now marks the next step in this process. And I talked with some homeowners and property owners today who say they're heartbroken knowing having a transmission line on their property is a step closer to a reality. Going from 10 proposed routes to 1. The developers hoping to build the 70-mile transmission line have picked their final proposed route that will likely end up being submitted to the state. It's dubbed Route H.
Now I just find myself in the middle of this giant mess.
A decision residents like Brandon Hill have been dreading.
My first immediate was, oh, thank goodness they're not taking my dad's retirement home anymore, because that's what the original route was. And then my second immediate response was, but now they're taking my neighbor's home that lives up there.
The new route adding a 4th transmission tower to his property.
So on top of the jumble I already have up there, they want me to have another one.
So how was this decision made? The developers, Public Service Enterprise Group, say they looked at many factors after looking at more than 5,000 public comments.
Route H impacted fewer conservation easements, had fewer residences and community facilities in close proximity to the right-of-way.
Within the 150-foot right-of-way where the transmission line could go, there's 384 properties. If you look at the 200 feet on either side of that right-of-way, there's another 226 properties that will be impacted.
They are running the line, it is directly through our farm. And will sit right in front of where we are building what we plan to be our forever.
Jessica and Chris Thompson have one of those properties in Frederick County.
Disgusted, disappointed, scared. This property was purchased to secure our future and the future of our children. And to have all that in jeopardy over corporate greed, political greed, is sickening.
For farmers concerned, this route will drastically cut their crops and their livelihoods. How can farmers farm under these safely while also still producing as much crop as they typically do?
Because of the nature of this transmission line, there is more distance between the ground and the wire.
Jason Kalwa, a project director for PSEG, says they also considered routing the line parallel to existing infrastructure, but said it would require removing 90 homes and buildings. Since their goal is to avoid as many existing buildings as possible, they said it wasn't a feasible option. But how willing are you all to actually negotiate and give them the compensation they deserve, not only for what their property's worth, but potential future losses for their crops or farming they might lose out on?
We absolutely want to negotiate with property owners, and we're willing to engage with them on a really deep level and not just say, take it or leave it.
Kalwa saying they will compensate farmers for crop loss during and after construction. They say permanent crop loss is minimal. PSEG doesn't have the right to use eminent domain right now. They would only get that right through the Public Service Commission approval process, which is the state commission that will give this project the go-ahead or not. How big is PSEG's budget to negotiate with homeowners?
I'm not prepared to disclose the specific amount, but what I will say, if market value says a certain amount, we are certainly willing to pay that amount.
Something residents like Hill.
I'm going to politely ask them to get off my property, and I'm not going to give them the easement.
And the Thompsons aren't interested in.
As far as open to any negotiations or any communication with PSEG, that is unequivocally no.
With more electricity needed across the region for things like transportation and business, and more data centers going up, PJM, the regional transmission organization, says with power plants going off the grid, this transmission line is critical. PSEG previously saying in an email there would be rolling brownouts and blackouts if it wasn't built by June of 2027. How imminent is rolling blackouts and brownouts if this project doesn't happen?
PJM is saying that this is a real serious issue. This amount of load growth coupled with this amount of generation retirements is really unprecedented.
So does that mean if this doesn't happen, then people could lose electricity in their homes here in Maryland?
Quite frankly, it's why we're moving as quickly as we can to get the line in service.
But residents trying to stop the transmission line have no plans of letting up.
I think people are going to adamantly oppose it just as strongly as it's been opposed from the beginning, and maybe even stronger now, because now it's, you know, it's more real, right? This is the final proposed line.
A spokesperson from PSEG says they may also consider additional public input before officially applying for the Public Service Commission, which they have plans to do by the end of this year or early next year. They also will be holding more public meetings. For a list of those dates and times, you can find them on our website at foxbaltimore.com. Live in Baltimore, Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.